Good evening. This is the news at 6 and I'm Ishan Russell. The news at 6, of course, is a half an hour of all the big developments that have happened during the day. We'll be updating you on those. The two big ones, of course, today in Europe. Two people have been gunned down, alleged terrorists, by the Belgian police. So Belgium is now under a terror threat. There have been raids in Germany. And meanwhile, back home in India, we'll be talking about politics. That's, of course, Delhi going to the polls. And another leader from the Aam Aadmi Party, formerly with the Aam Aadmi Party, has joined the BJP. Rajya does so. So we'll be talking about that as well and all that and more over the next half hour. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. Ex-AAP leader Shazia Ilmi joins the BJP, says she won't contest Delhi elections, and another recent sign-up, Kiran Bedi readies to become the face of the BJP for the polls. Censor board chief quits, citing government interference in clearing film Messenger of God that was barred by the panel. The government rejects the charge. Two terrorists gunned down by the Belgian police amid a series of anti-terror raids across the country. High alert sounded across Europe. India expresses strong disapproval of European Parliament resolution for the release of two Italian Marines behind bars in India, terms it a travesty of justice. And Birdman and the Grand Budapest Hotel lead the pack of the nominations for the 87th Academy Awards. We'll know in a week from now. Alright, our top story right now. A day after joining the BJP, Kiran Bedi today said she wants to contest against Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal from the New Delhi seat. Speaking to media persons in Delhi, she said she is ready and more than willing to challenge her former associate, provided her party asks her to do so.
The upcoming Delhi election battle gets more engrossing by the day. After the BJP turned the tables on the Aam Aadmi Party by inducting Kiran Bedi into the party fold, rumours are now abuzz that she may be pitted against her former colleague Arvind Kejriwal. Bedi herself said she wouldn't hesitate to take on Kejriwal if asked by the party. But even if she doesn't contest against him directly, it's likely to be a direct contest between the two, with both to lead their respective party campaigns.
पार्टी लीडरशिप में होती है, उसमें से वो कैंडिडेट जब चुन के आते हैं, तब वो आपस में वो लीडर सेलेक्ट करते हैं कि इस ग्रुप को प्रशासन को लीड कौन करेगा.
It's visible outside the party headquarters already, and pictures of the IPS official turned politician will soon be up across the city. Signal enough that Kiran Bedi will be the party's face in this election season in the capital.
विचार यही है कि अभी उनकी लीडरशिप होनी चाहिए और बाकी जहां तक मुख्यमंत्री की बात है वो तो पार्लियामेंट्री बॉडी ही फैसला करेगी.
But the move hasn't gone down well with the opposition. The Congress termed it political opportunism by Kiran Bedi. Her former Team Anna members said they were shocked at her decision.
किरण बेदी जी का 40 साल का जो अनुभव है, वो अनुभव शायद अपने ऊपर के लोगों के साथ में हमेशा निरंतर झगड़ा करने का अनुभव भी है.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी धरना प्रदर्शन करने वालों को नक्सलवादियों के साथ भेज देना चाहती है, जंगल में भेज देना चाहती है. किरण बेदी जी भी आंदोलन से निकली हुई नेता है.
Kiran Bedi was an active member of the Jan Lokpal movement under Gandhi and Anna Hazare. It's been quite a move for her, from ardently refusing the political route to embracing it outright and turning the face of the party she fiercely criticized. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
And after Kiran Bedi, former AAP member Shazia Ilmi also joined the BJP today. Ilmi took membership of the party at the Delhi BJP headquarters today in the presence of State Chief Satish Upadhyay. Like Kiran Bedi, Shazia too praised Prime Minister Modi, saying his dedication and leadership had inspired her to join his party. She, however, will not be contesting the Delhi polls. Shazia had contested from the RK Puram seat in the 2013 Delhi polls with an Aam Aadmi Party ticket, where she lost by just 300 votes. She also contested the Lok Sabha polls from Ghaziabad, where she finished 5th. Some others joined the BJP today too, including prominent music director Anand Raj Anand. Anand said he wanted to serve the people under Narendra Modi's guidance.
I really pledge allegiance to the new blueprint of Bharatiya Janata Party, which stands for development and governance. मेरा कोई मन नहीं है contest करने का, किसी को हराने का, कुछ जताने का, कोई point बनाने का. मैं वाकई में सेवा करना चाहती हूँ.
All right, and the visuals there on your screen right now are of the big celebrations today at the BJP office welcoming Shazia Ilmi. This, of course, on your screens is Satish Upadhyay, the BJP president for Delhi, welcoming Shazia Ilmi into the party fold. Shazia Ilmi had been cited with the BJP leaders for some time now. In fact, she had participated in the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan along with the person sitting right next to her, Satish Upadhyay, the BJP Delhi chief. But right now, the complications for the Delhi BJP have also started off with the fact that many leaders in the party who have been working within the system do feel a bit alienated. And in fact, some of the leaders were witnessed to be sitting over there on the seats while Kiran Bedi and Shazia Ilmi joined the BJP. So it'll have to be seen how they handle as far as the BJP itself is concerned and their old leadership in Delhi, whether they're able to rally them behind it. Kiran Bedi, do remember, has not been officially announced as the Chief Minister candidate for the BJP for Delhi for now. All right, moving on now. Amid reports that the controversial film Messenger of God is slated for a release on Sunday, Censor Board Chief Leela Sampson and another member of the board, Ira Bhaskar, both announced they were resigning from their posts. Both expressed displeasure at the state of affairs with the statutory body. The government categorically said there was no truth in the charges.
The Censor Board thrown up in a tizzy over the clearance of the film Messenger of God. Chairperson Leela Sampson said she was resigning after alleging interference, coercion and even corruption of panel members and officers at the Censor Board. The government refuted the charges and said Sampson should back her allegations with proof.
ये एक गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी गाइडलाइंस के हिसाब से है और इसमें किसी ने कोई इंटरफेरेंस या कोercion नहीं करा और अगर द चेयरपर्सन ऐसा समझती हैं तो सरकार के सामने वो पेश करें कोई चिट्ठी या कोई एसएमएस जहां पर उनको किसी पर दबाव डाला जा रहा है.
The film features Dera Sacha Sauda chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh in the lead role. The Censor Board initially objected to the Dera head's alleged portrayal of himself as God and sent the film to the Film Certification Appellate Tribunal. The tribunal cleared it, prompting Sampson to quit. The government maintained that due process was followed in allowing the film.
पिछली फिल्म का जब चर्चा हुई थी तब भी हमने सेंसर बोर्ड की इज्जत करी थी. उसी रिस्पेक्ट से हमने उनके निर्णय को स्वीकार करा था और उसी प्रक्रिया के अंदर फाइनल जो कॉल होती है वो एफकैट की होती है, एपलेट ट्राइब्यूनल की. और जो अभी जो फिल्म जिसकी चर्चा चल रही है अगर वो एफकैट द्वारा जो भी उस पर निर्णय लिया जाएगा तो वो सभी को स्वीकारित होना चाहिए.
But the row in the field of culture soon enough spilled over to the political arena as well.
She should have resigned on the very first day. I mean, she was an appointee of the previous government because her ideological inclination suited the previous government. When a new government comes which is totally different ideology, I think people should, on their own, to maintain their self-respect, should resign. I'm not talking about her ability. She is now considered a person with some ability.
Leela Sampson's resignation is a contempt of the Censor Board's rule. And it's a very normal routine, it's a normal rule. When the Censor Board sends the film to tribunal, it's the right of the tribunal to, take on it whether they want to release the film or not. And tribunal has found there's nothing wrong in the film and has released the film.
Many Sikh groups had earlier objected to the film on grounds that it glorified an individual who had police cases against him.
How can we show somebody who is accused of rape, who is accused of molestation, murder, castration, as a hero? And I think it should be banned, and the government of India should rethink. Baba Ram Rahim says that he cannot go to the courts because it's a security problem. But today he is holding a press conference.
The Congress alleged that the controversy was yet another instance of the NDA government's interference.
See, whether it is DRDO chief or whether it is now Leela Samson, many of the important people in important positions are not allowed to do their job. And everything is controlled from the PMO.
The film triggered protest in parts of Punjab and Haryana by both the Shiromani Akali Dal and INLD supporters. 60 political workers were detained. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for a very quick break right now, but on the other side, we'll be talking about the US praise for Pakistan for deciding to ban the Jamaat-ud-Dawa and other terror groups. More on that on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Well, our focus story now. A week after the terror mayhem in France, there are signals of neighbouring Belgium being the next target. High alert has been sounded after a major anti-terror raid in which 2 suspected Islamist militants were killed. Anti-terror raids are being conducted across the country.
For residents of the lazy Verviers town of eastern Belgium, it was a night straight out of the movies. These pictures were taken by a neighbour through his window. A police raid on a terrorist hideout in a house in the area, a gun battle and muzzle flashes. 2 men were killed, a 3rd man was arrested. No other injuries reported.
J'ai entendu des fusillades, des explosions et enfin ça devient grave quoi. Ici à Verviers, il n'y a jamais rien eu de tel et ça fait un peu peur. Quand je vais dire moi j'ai des enfants, ma femme devait aller aujourd'hui à la FGTB, je vais dire reste à la maison, je dis ne sors pas parce que.
Police recovered 4 Kalashnikov rifles, bomb-making equipment and police clothing from the spot, indications of bigger terror plans. The men had reportedly returned from Syria and were planning attacks on police targets. Similar raids were carried out across the country. A nationwide security alert has been raised to level 3 on a scale of 4.
Les perquisitions se sont effectuées dans le cadre d'une enquête portant sur une cellule opérationnelle composée de personnes dont certaines revenaient de Syrie. L'enquête a permis de déterminer que ce groupe était sur le point de commettre des attentats terroristes d'envergure.
Earlier on Thursday, 2 suspected Islamists were arrested in a Brussels suburb. Belgian officials say more than 300 Belgian nationals had gone to Syria and Iraq to fight with Islamic groups there, perhaps a reason for the attacks. Protection and security are the big focus areas right now.
Nous n'avons pas connaissance de menaces concrètes et spécifiques. Toutefois, compte tenu de la situation, nous pouvons considérer qu'il est utile d'élever le niveau de prudence et de vigilance. Ça signifie concrètement que des mesures complémentaires de protection et de sécurité seront prises.
The terror alert in Belgium comes a week after attacks in neighbouring France that killed 17 people. Belgian officials say no weapon links with the killings have been established for now, but fears persist that the Belgium target may have been inspired by the killings in France. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Terror raids have also been reported in Berlin in Germany, raising fears of terrorists looking to target European nations. More than 200 German police officers raided suspected Islamist cells in and around Berlin early today. Police say they have arrested an alleged leader of a group planning to carry out an attack in Syria. They say they arrested a 41-year-old man of Turkish origin who is suspected of leading an Islamist extremist group made up of Turkish and Russian nationals from Chechnya and Dagestan. Police said there is no indication that the group was preparing attacks inside Germany. And to help us understand these developments happening across Europe, we have with us Anand K. Saha. He's a coordinating editor at the Asian Age. Thank you very much for coming in, Mr. Saha. But very simply, as far as Europe is concerned, I mean, it's really on the edge. First France, and now there have been terror raids in Belgium, in Germany. The police having no option but to really go into crackdown mode.
Well, conceptually, we can separate these 2 events in Germany and in Belgium from what we saw in France. France was directly a response, a terrorist response to certain cartoon publications. Right. So there is a cause and effect there which can be analyzed. But I think I agree with you broadly that if any state or any society is threatened by terrorist elements, no matter what their grievance, I do not think that in this country we will, take that kind of threat without doing something about it. And in the light of what's transpired in France, if the authorities in Belgium or Germany have done their police work carefully, etc. Of course, this will be brought under scrutiny,
Right.
Have the authorities gone berserk? Is it linked with, the non-integration of Islamic, people of Islamic faith and society with the traditional European society or not? These questions will come up, of course.
Yes, in fact, that was my next question to you as well, because after 9/11 also, we saw a sort of racial profiling that started to happen a lot. And in terms of, Europe now is a very changed Europe. It's not just a white Europe. I mean, you have all sorts of minorities.
You're absolutely
there are Asians,
right. You're absolutely right. And therefore, this police in Germany as well in Belgium, they will have to establish the bona fides, that these people were indeed contemplating, acts related to extremist violence, or terrorism and so on. That has to be established before a court of law. But having said that, let's go back for a minute to what we saw in Paris last week. The individual expression, freedom to do that, it's absolutely necessary. One can't think of a world without it. One can't think of progress and advance without it. But the right to, it's my fundamental right to offend you through my, my observations, the way I express myself. I think any mature political system which cares for stability will have to look more deeply into that aspect. You can't say I'll do what I like, but you can't do what you like. Of course, one must draw the line at terrorism. No matter what you do, even if I don't like it, I cannot go around shooting and bombing. I mean. There it is full stop, of course.
Right.
But however, this speaks poorly for policies of integration with non-European societies, people of, say, African or Asian origin, which have now come to reside in Europe, and they are there. There are crores of them if you look at all the countries taken together.
Right.
I think there has not been sufficient attention paid to this. For instance, blasphemy laws.
Right.
And there are blasphemy laws in many European countries, including France. I don't know about Germany, but France and Britain, places like this. But in the people who the religion which is brought under that law is only Christianity, and not Islam. So I think a deeper look, without condoning terrorism, and while doing everything to check the spread of terrorism, doing sufficient police work, intelligence work, security work, and the like. But I think the deeper questions will remain about the kind of policies the European society has nurtured over 5 decades. They do give primacy to Enlightenment values. We go along with that. But individualism, the credo of individualism, taken too far, taken beyond a point.
Right.
That will create problems from time to time. I have no doubt about that.
All right. My final question to you would be, you almost alluded to that about the policy or the lack of policy as far as integration of communities is concerned. So as far as the political mood right now in Europe and across Europe is concerned, how do you see that? Do we see more confrontations happening, not just within countries, but perhaps anger that could be taken outside or vented outside?
Confrontations are likely, but the more important fallout is fear, a pall of fear and apprehension, which does not make for, for happy living, within a society. And it could, of course, give rise to right-wing European, nationalist or chauvinistic, white chauvinist ideas, spread of those ideas. Those groups exist already in Europe, in virtually every country of Europe, and they will gain fillip from all of this.
All right, so indeed a worrying situation over there.
It's very worrying, yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Sahai, for coming in and explaining to us the nuances of that situation over there. Thanks very much. All right, moving on now, and in fact, India is no different as far as security is concerned, because it's been stepped up at the Mumbai airport after a terror threat message was found scribbled in one of the washrooms. The new threat comes just days after the first such threat did not translate into an attack. Ground handling staff found 2 more messages warning of an ISIS attack. The message claims of a terror strike on Republic Day this month. While the chances of the message being hoaxes are quite high, the security agencies are not taking these threats lightly, especially in view of the high alert across the country on Republic Day. Passengers entering and leaving the airport were being scanned thoroughly. As soon as the messages were found, the airport police station, CISF and the bomb detection and disposal squad were alerted. Some international news now, and the US has welcomed reports that Pakistan was planning to outlaw the Haqqani network and other militant groups linked to violent extremism. According to reports, Pakistan is likely to announce soon its decision to ban at least 10 terror outfits, including the Lashkar-e-Toiba. US State Department spokesperson Murray Harf said it was an important step taken by Pakistan to eliminate terror activity on its soil. After the Peshawar attack, Pakistan had announced a crackdown on terror. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif had vowed to eliminate all terror outfits in Pakistan. On Tuesday, US Secretary of State John Kerry urged Islamabad to take more concrete steps against outfits which he claimed threatened the entire region. Well, time for another quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, we'll be talking about the new Chief Election Commissioner. H.S. Brahma has taken over as the new CEC. We'll tell you more about him on the other side. Welcome back. Here with the news at 6, and let's get you all the national news and nationwide. Harishankar Brahma took charge as the Chief Election Commissioner today. Brahma takes over from V.S. Sampath, who demitted office yesterday after a 6-year tenure. Brahma said the Election Commission's immediate target is to conduct the upcoming assembly elections in Delhi in a perfect manner. Brahma is the second officer from the northeast to be appointed to this post. Jammu and Kashmir police arrested a top Lashkar-e-Toiba commander in Sopore town of Baramulla district late last night. Abu Muawiyah is the resident of Pakistan and was arrested from the house of a sarpanch in the Churu area of Sopore. A cache of arms and ammunition has been recovered from his possession. The Supreme Court today stayed the trial of Tehelka founder-editor Tarun Tejpal by 3 weeks in a sexual assault case. The Apex Court gave Tejpal the time to collect all the necessary documents and asked him to refrain from delaying the trial on any ground in the future. Tejpal was charge-sheeted for allegedly raping and sexually harassing a junior colleague in November last year. Cold wave conditions continued unabated in Punjab and Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, with dense fog affecting and disrupting the road, rail and air traffic. In Lucknow, the visibility was below 25 meters. In Jammu and Kashmir, the night temperature fell below the freezing point across the valley after the 4-day respite. Kargil was the coldest recorded place in the state with a low of minus 11 degrees Celsius. Now, India has voiced strong disapproval of a European Parliament resolution that asks India to allow the return of 2 Italian Marines accused of killing 2 fishermen. The External Affairs Ministry criticized the resolution as not well advised, as the matter was in the courts and was being discussed between India and Italy. Now, in a joint resolution approved by a show of hands, the European member nations expressed sadness at the tragic death of the 2 Indian fishermen, but also gave concerns about the detention of the Marines. The Italian Marines were arrested in India on murder charges for the killing of 2 Indian fishermen off the coast of Kerala. One of them was given a leave extension earlier this week.
The case involving the 2 Italian Marines having killed 2 Indian fishermen is sub judice and is being discussed between India and Italy. The Supreme Court of India, in its ruling on 14th January, has granted 3 months extension to the Italian Marine Massimiliano Latorre for his stay in Italy on health grounds. And the other Marine, Salvatore Girone, is staying in the Italian Embassy in New Delhi. Under these circumstances, the European Parliament would have been well advised not to adopt the resolution.
Now, Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida is in New Delhi ahead of the 8th India-Japan Strategic Dialogue tomorrow. On the first day of his 2-day visit, Kishida paid tributes at the Rajghat and met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He co-chairs the India-Japan Strategic Dialogue with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj tomorrow. The dialogue is keenly watched as Japan and India recently agreed to strengthen defense ties and keep a wary eye on a rising China. Nuclear energy cooperation and Japan's promise of $35 billion aid for India for developmental projects may also come up.
Now they may discuss in which specific areas they might go, who would do what, where. So they might sign a couple of MOUs or agreements, it could depending on what stage.
They will talk about the progress of civil nuclear agreement, of course, but I don't think we should expect too much from this meeting.
Some entertainment news today, and the nominations for the 87th Academy Awards were announced in Los Angeles. Birdman and the Grand Budapest Hotel lead the nominations pack with 9 nominations each. The award ceremony will take place on the 22nd of February, and Neil Patrick Harris will host the awards.
Inarritu's genre-defying film Birdman and Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel are the films to beat at the 87th Oscars set for 27th of February. The two films scored the maximum 9 nominations apiece. Birdman earned 9 nods, including Best Picture, and nominations for its 3 main actors, Michael Keaton, Emma Stone and Edward Norton. The Imitation Game, in another strong showing, had 8 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director as well as Best Actor. Boyhood had 6, scoring heavily in the major categories.
Grand Budapest Hotel, they led the race with 9 nominations each. That wasn't a total surprise because people really love those movies and they're so spectacular to look at. So I'm not surprised they got nominations.
The shortlist for Best Picture includes American Sniper, Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Selma, Whiplash, The Imitation Game and The Theory of Everything. However, Ava DuVernay's moving biopic about Martin Luther King Jr., Selma, was snubbed for Best Director. Had DuVernay been nominated, it would have made her the first black woman to be nominated in the category.
In the director's race, I was really surprised. Clint Eastwood, Ava DuVernay for Selma, and David Fincher, who directed Gone Girl. I really thought they were going to get nominated, and they deserve to be. But you know, everybody who's in that race deserves to be there too. So it was an interesting year for film.
Meanwhile, there was disappointment for India as music maestro A.R. Rahman, who has won 2 Oscars, failed to score a nod in the Best Original Score category. Rahman had made it to the list of 114 probables for 3 of his films, including Hollywood movies, The 100-Foot Journey and $1 Million Arm. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it from us, Katay.